going on, everyone? Welcome in to all things NBA from A to Z. I'm Kris Persianen alongside Zak Noble. We are here today to preview a team in the Atlantic Division, a team that has just made a ripple effect type of trade to a blockbuster that I think worked out pretty interestingly. The Celtics, man, the Boston Celtics is our team of focus today. They just acquired Drew Holiday in exchange for Rob Will and Brogdon and some draft capital. We got to break that down. We got to break down our expectations for the year, win total, over under, all of it. We're going to get to it, rotation, you name it. But Zak, first of all, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Got the kids down in a timely manner, and
Hey,
happy to be previewing my second favorite team in the world, and some other goodies tonight. We got a busy schedule tonight, so excited to get after it with you.
we
Miss
do.
Al, but we're gonna have some fun.
I was gonna say Al, busy as always. He's always busy. He's always working. He's always
Renaissance man.
capping games and businessing around. He's just he does everything. So like you nailed it. Renaissance man. Maybe he's building something for his for his crib now. Man, he's awesome. So I've been up to college stuff, classes, working with WFUV Sports, just reported on Sunday Night Football, went to Knicks Media Day Monday, both great experiences.
Yeah, good work, man. You're doing well. It's
Thank
fun
you,
to
dude.
watch.
I appreciate it. So I've had lots going on, little sleep, lots work. Uh, but I'm also very excited to be previewing the Boston Celtics because of a different trade they made, which is for Kristaps Porzingis, where they gave away Marcus Smart. I think makes this conversation super interesting. Let's start though with Drew Holiday. So Zak, you do like the Celtics, so I have got to present this as a question to you before anything else. What do you think about the Boston Celtics acquiring Drew Holiday in exchange for Rob Will, Brogdon, a 2024 first rounder from the Warriors, and a 2029 first rounder also heading to the Blazers? Holiday, 33 years old, defensive menace, offensively troubled recently in the playoffs, but a calming
Mhm.
half court presence, something these C's needed.
I'm a star and a talent chaser. It is what it is. Like, I love when teams get better and go after as many stars as possible. I just love the action. I love seeing the best players in the world play together. And I've always been that way. I like seeing the Warriors get Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, sue me. I like seeing LeBron team up with those guys just because it's different. It's like it doesn't happen like that much. The chance we get all these guys together. I also like building from the ground up. I love watching the process and guys develop in OKC. I like different shit. All right. It's just something I'm into. I like team and roster building differently. But Brad Stevens, he might be number one right now on the front office, the GM rankings. He is absolutely crushing it. I love the starting lineup he's put together. Do I love their playmaking on this unit? Do I love their dribbling, their handles? No, I absolutely do not. That's the one thing they're striking out with. I'm sorry if you're a Derek White stan. I love the guy. He's been on my show in the past. He's an awesome human being.
He is
But
awesome.
he's not a great dribbler. Look at Jaylen Brown, came to camp. That left hand looks weak from the few videos we saw. I'm not going to judge off a clip. He wasn't in an
Facts.
athletic stance.
I'm not.
And
If you see it, you see it.
come on, he's just standing like a stiff. Like he's not, he's
The
pounding
guy
a
is
little.
literally just like shitting around, like just like
Exactly. Come on,
yeah.
let's not get too wound up about it. I guarantee you he was dribbling hard this offseason. Did it get much better? Who knows? Jury's out. Jury's out. I'm not gonna say it did, but that's what I'm concerned about the Celtics though, is playmaking, dribbling. Jason Tatum did develop that a little bit last year. It's getting better.
Playmaking a lot from him. I
For
was gonna
sure. It was kind of like a Kawhi Leonard progression, Paul George, but no, those guys aren't elite at it. Like they're not top tier. I'm not saying that. But they've progressed. They've gotten better in that regards. For me, this trade comes down to defense and depth. Okay, their defense was their bread and butter the last couple of years. They've been a top 3, top 5 defense, and it's translated to the playoffs. Okay, losing Rob Will, who some think he was so good he could have been a defensive player of the year candidate. I happen to be not necessarily in that category because he wasn't as versatile, wasn't as well rounded, didn't play enough games for me. But the team's defense was flawless the last few years. I truly believe it from an NBA standpoint. Drew Holiday's amazing. Okay. Drew Holiday is that guy, but like depth wise, like can they sustain the same defense when these guys lose? So that's what I'm concerned about. I think it was completely worth it. I think it was an A+ trade, not an A+, but an A-.
I was gonna say,
Whatever my
whoa.
grade I put out there is, it's still the exact same it is today. And it wasn't an A+. It was an A- or an A, one of those two. But they did give up a little more than I was hoping. But like, that's fine. You gotta do what you gotta do. The fit's there. Again, Kris, do you believe in the passing playmaking of this team? Jury's out, but like it was fine last year. The ball movement was pretty fine for the most part. The talent exceeds the fit, in my opinion.
So I love that you got to start out here because I knew you would like this move. I saw your Twitter. I knew you liked it. I wanted you to set the tone on the discussion for this,
You
which
can shit
is
on it.
the Boston Celtics came out and acquired a star player using non-star players. That's something, like that's the crux of what happened here. Here's my thoughts. I think that after Jokic, Embiid, Adebayo, after guys like, oh man, you can still say, if you want to argue, Porzingis is better today than Rob Will at the position of center. I don't hate that from you. And, I don't, right? But here,
Not debatable. He was amazing last year. He's an
Porzingis
all-star.
was great. Here's my thing, though. AD doesn't play center. We haven't seen Wemby yet. After Jokic, Embiid, Adebayo, Lopez, and Porzingis, I think it's arguable that Rob Will is like right there. So
Wow.
I am really in on him. I think his passing, especially functionally out of the short roll, is perfect for his role. I understand the health limitations and concerns. But my number one philosophy with NBA team building is getting guys that are stars in their roles, that are really bought into being 100% the best version of an eighth man that they can be, whatever it is, right? And that's why you talk about teams like the Kings and the Knicks, like we did in the last episode, our preview of some West Coast teams. And I love what they have going on roster construction wise because of the buy-in that they get. I think with the Celtics, I'm not concerned about buy-in issues. What I'm saying is I just don't love that they gave up someone who I think is arguably, one of the top guys at his position, and
A guy who wouldn't start, mind you.
Replaced him with Porzingis, which spacing was not an issue of theirs last year. They ranked very highly in the NBA in terms of their spacing. It was not an issue for them last year. And so for them to trade Smart and Williams to say, we're going to get the talent upgrade in Holiday and the change in on-court fit with Porzingis, I don't actually think that's going to pay the dividends that it looks to on paper. To start, I understand that sucks, right? I understand that me coming out and saying, oh, I'm not in on Boston being a super team is like raining on the parade. I understand it. The baseline needs to be set that I think this is a very good team. And I do believe that this is the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference. All right. So that is not trash talk. Okay. I'm not putting them down. I'm looking at the talent and I'm saying what I see. They are a top team in the Eastern Conference and in the NBA as a whole. However, how they got there, I think, has to be part of this. The ends will justify the means if there's a Larry O'Brien, right? that we always talk about. Oh, the Lakers, AD, it was all worth it as soon as they won the championship. They'll always get that pass because they won the championship. There's no denying that they hoisted the trophy. I think it's our job to talk about the realities where that doesn't happen, and that requires being a little pessimistic. 37-year-old Al Horford, power forward. His backup, O'Shea Brissett. Kristaps Porzingis, coming up on 30. Also, like Horford, has dealt with a lot of injury problems in the last few years. Porzingis actually with a better bill of health last season than I think many would think if they had to guess an amount of games played. But I also think that as someone who, watched him up close for a while, he is unfortunately, despite, his amazing talent, he's so fun to watch. I love when he gets in his bag. I love when he just snipes from the corners and helps facilitate for a great guard. I think he's going to be so awesome for the Jays and for Drew, right? I just think that those two guys being your starting front court and the backup front court being O'Shea Brissett and Luke Cornett, you gotta hit the buyout market hard. And when you're saying that to say, oh, this team really has a shot of winning the championship if they hit the buyout market hard, I can't write them off. I also can't be like, I'm all in. There's a chance that
All
they
right,
don't make the right buy-in signings. So buyout
let's
signings. Sorry.
pause. Let's pause there for a second. That's a great point. I mean, it's fair, okay? But like Al's coming off the bench, that 6-man Hauser. And then the one you're really forgetting is Jordan Walsh. He's a guy that I think is going to come in and have an immediate impact. Can he guard some fives? I don't know, maybe.
That is a
Depends.
star in his role kind of guy. I will tell you that.
Exactly. And I feel like he's a rookie that's coming into the perfect system, no pressure for him, that can just focus on the things that the team needs him to do. I'm not worried about the buyout market because when you think about it, the bigs that you'd be worried about outside of Giannis, they're all in the West. So can they get past Giannis? It's the same guys they've had, and I think they're better equipped for Giannis now. Is Al Horford going to slow down that much? Because he's been great on Giannis. He's been one of the best Giannis guys. I mean, yeah, it's hard to rely on Al Horford as
I was going to say back to when he signed with Philly,
right?
January and February, every single year, it's his lower body. And that is so unfortunate. I am Dominican. I scream at the TV for Al Horford when he hits threes, bro. My mom loves him, right? Like my Dominican family, we all root for Al. Okay. Here's the thing. 37. We just did this all off season with the Jets. I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen here. And I hope the same thing really does not happen here. And it's so unfortunate with the Jets, man, but I think you see this enough where when you have the pieces, Drew, the half court presence they needed, keeping up the defensive end, Derek White, the sixth man, probably, Hauser and playing a good role. Walsh, as the year goes on, I'd love to see him playing a good role. I think a lot of guys there have a chance to earn a rotation spot. Even if you go to the bottom of the roster, someone like a Banton has a chance. I think he's got a shot.
Wayne Gabriel.
Okay. That would require a little bit of unfortunate predecessoring events, or a trade, but I do think like Peyton Pritchard should not sign his extension this offseason, because if he can play, he will show he's worth more than people think right now. I don't think he's some like super viable playoff, oh my god, I want him. Should a team like the Clippers go get him the way they did Bones Highland? Don't really think so. Should a team like Charlotte or Houston, I don't even know, man. Someone should go get Pritchard and like give him the ball a little more as like a seventh man or something. See what happens. I'd be pretty intrigued if you're like a middle of the pack to bottom team. So the Celtics are good and they're going to be good. I'm just not all in on the Drew Holiday trade for them in regards to what it leaves them as compared to what they needed to improve on from last season. And I think you can say the same about the Porzingis trade. So for me, I'd give the
So
Drew Holiday trade a flat. Nah, I'd give it a B- for them. And a lot of that is because when you're in a position like a team like the Celtics, you have to make these moves. And I understand it. I
okay,
understand you have to make these moves. So I'm not going to say, they shouldn't have done it. I just think because they, it made sense because they already made the move for Porzingis. I don't know if I love those combination of moves for them. I think they could have done more damage with the same kind of swings in a different direction.
let me get this straight. You're only worried about Rob Williams and being able to guard Jokic, being able to guard Giannis a little bit, and then Anthony Davis, correct?
I'm worried about the front court in general, its health. I'm worried about
Al Horford, 30 and a half minutes last year, played 63 games. Obviously, we can't expect that the same. How many
you
minutes
don't
do you think?
expect it the same. You don't.
I know, but like I'm cool with their depth. I mean, I really am, and yes, I agree. The bigs are the biggest concern, for sure.
Brissett and Hauser cannot be playing a lot of minutes at the 4 in the playoffs, and that's where you're at right now. Is those guys at the 3 and 4 off the bench? I think Walsh, like, if they could consolidate some of these pieces, like a Hauser and a Banton. I don't know. I'm spitballing. They can't even trade Delano probably because of the contract situation because they just signed him. But like turn 2 into 1. I like something, dude. That I think they're close.
Any ideas? That piece they're missing besides Rob Will.
All right, listen. I understand moving him once you get Porzingis. I'm just saying I wouldn't have gotten Porzingis. I wouldn't have gone down. I think the Drew move and moving Rob Will for him is a great follow-up to the Porzingis move. I think I would never have gone down that road in the first place because I think there are several more fruitful roads to go down, including just keeping Rob Will. And so, yeah.
But they didn't give up much for KP.
No, they actually got
really all they gave up, dude, from the Celtics as player wise is Smart, Muscala,
but
and
that's
Gallinari.
That's why I'm okay with this stuff is because I think they won that deal value wise, the Smart deal. I just don't think basketball on court wise that they won that deal.
Okay.
With the opportunity cost of dealing Smart elsewhere. I like moving Smart. I liked that for them. I really did like that for them. I think he'll be good in Memphis too, by the way. I just think that I would have made different moves. It's tough when it's unknown to say it would have been better, right? I understand that. I understand it seems like an empty guarantee or empty promise here. But what I'm really trying to say is that the opportunity cost of doing what they did, to me, what they have on court does not justify going a different path, and that is going to take the season playing out to follow up on. And I might look really stupid. They might be fantastic. They might be a well-oiled machine operating with all-wheel drive and running teams over, and that might be on me. As for right now, I think over the next couple of seasons we look back at this big shakeup summer and go, right idea, wrong execution.
Real quickly, Blazers return. You think all those guys fit perfectly? You love that return for them, or they just got best available package? I mean,
I love the value. Having Rob Will and Ayton is so weird. I don't care.
Right.
Figure that out later. Figure it out later. You'll survive. I promise. Figure it out later. Rob Will is really good. I would start him over Ayton, unquestionably. Unquestionably, I start him over Ayton.
You're bringing Ayton off the bench, dude.
You're bringing Rob Will off the bench, dude?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'd start them. I'd get weird, dude. I'd get weird and start them both.
What are you, Troy Weaver?
That's who I am. I'd get weird and start. I mean,
Troy Weaver.
Tim Connolly.
Duran,
I mean, except one of those guys is in a stretch.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
it's not Connolly. It's Weaver. It's Duran and
it's
Wiseman.
Terrible.
Weirdo.
You're right. No, that's a good call there. I mean, you have to figure out if Ayton's the real deal and then take him off immediately. I don't know. But Malcolm Brogdon, it's gonna be interesting who swipes him up because
I had to move him. Boston had to move him after trading him. No, but after trading him and then having to untrade him, they had to trade him. That was done. that was awkward.
All right. Moving on from this trade a little bit. I look back where the Celtics last year, and from like a really number standpoint, their slow pace, field goal attempts. I mean, there's definitely a correlation with slow pace, low in the league. 2-point field goal percentage, just amount of attempts they take from twos as well. They're a heavily 3-point shooting team. Low free throw attempt. They don't get to the rim very well, and then steals. So honestly, how they address this team with all the moving parts this offseason, I personally would say pace could pick up a little bit with Drew Holiday and KP, but I'm not going to say a ton, nor do I think it needs to. Their half-court sets are awesome. They work at their own pace. The ball movement's just fine. Free throw attempts will always be a really, really negative indication for me. I think it needs to be high. I think it's important to have a top 15 rim pressure team at least. I mean, but maybe Brown and Tatum can up that a little bit and they can draw more fouls. Maybe Drew Holiday will help that a little bit. Do you see any of those areas being addressed here and improving at all?
I think the fact that you just kind of had to like meander your way through talking yourself into them being improved because of the trades is your answer, man. I think the areas they needed to improve were not addressed by these deals. I think it's still possible that on paper the team has sexier names and got better, and yeah, for sure. And for the people that say they like Drew in the playoffs more than Damian Lillard, you are sick people. But
that's disgusting.
And it's been said.
That stems from one series, probably.
And it's been
one
said.
series.
I know. But listen, man, Drew is good. You got to look at his true shooting in his last couple playoff series. It is not good. Okay. So offensively, this guy is presenting you with issues, especially as he continues to age and loses that quickness off the dribble. Not completely gone, but it's as it starts to wane, right? I do believe that in the regular season, this team shouldn't take too long to figure things out. I think this will be a motivated team with guys that want to get going and want to get winning games. I think they'll be a good regular season team. I think they should finish as the number 1 or number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, and that should come as no surprise to anybody. But it does conflict with my take from earlier a little bit, and I do think that the playoffs is where that take becomes relevant. Are Porzingis and Horford both healthy in April, in May, in June? Do they have better backup depth especially in the front court? Or actually, maybe exclusively in the front court. If Walsh grows into what we think he could at the end of his rookie season, then maybe they don't need to hit for a wing so hard. But I just feel like the Celtics could use, if they're going to lean into this style of ball, they could use a Josh Okogie, a player like that off the bench at the 3. I think that would serve them really well. Obviously Phoenix not going to give him up for nothing. He should be their 5th starter. I just think that, he also would be perfect for a team like this, who Boston should look into getting. I'm going to tell you right now how the Celtics can improve my faith in them. If they can get, and I'm saying if they can get someone strong in the buyout market, in the front court, a decent name, someone who is available, who can play 10 backup center minutes in a playoff game, and they trade Pritchard.
He's building this up
for DeLon Wright. If they get DeLon Wright, man, I will be a little bit more in on this Celtics team, leaning into a physical, slow style of play. Decrease the pace. Let Drew be the calming half-court presence. Let Tatum create as well. Let Brown work cutting as an athlete from the weak side, shooting open shots. Get Porzingis the ball. Horford can help as a connector, help move it around. You got Derek White and DeLon Wright that'll be tough for some
there you go
play-by-play guys. Working in, and those guys I think are 2 perfect fits to mix in and play with starters, to play next to Drew or to play
right.
He's great. He's great, and he's one of
No, he's
those.
always rock solid.
You know who DeLon Wright is? He's one of those guys who, like a Contavious Caldwell Pope, gets memed into oblivion for playing with LeBron, right? But then he actually wins a championship as a guy as a backup on or a starter on a good team, playing his role and being a star in his role. And you're like, oh crap, that guy was actually always pretty good. DeLon Wright is that to me. I think he's been on some really bad teams recently. I think a good team should go get him this season. I've tweeted about this last season. This is not a new agenda of mine, folks. So, yeah, the Celtics would be a team that could benefit from a guy like that. I'm not saying they're winning the chip if they get DeLon Wright. Like, I'm not ridiculous, okay? But I just think if they can get a solid front court buyout option and move for a guy like Wright, or just move for a solid front court backup option, I think I would have a lot more faith in the Celtics team. I just wanted to say a path to being a little more trustable for me in the playoffs than just going out and trading for a backup four like everyone is saying they should. So wanted to throw something a little different out there. Zach, your thoughts on oh, go ahead.
Is DeLon Wright just like a less publicized version, or a less I don't know how to put this, but just less publicized version of Tyus Jones that never got his true starting opportunity, like that type of guy?
Sure, man.
Is that how you view him? Because people view Tyus Jones right now as a guy that could be borderline. Like, I feel like some people think he can take the Jalen Brunson leap here coming up, which I don't, absolutely not. But there's some people out there, man.
He's a great player. I love watching him play. I think he's great. I think Trey Jones also really good. I love both brothers. I love the way they
I don't
play
like
the
their
game.
upsides.
I love the way they process the game. And I love the way that they defend. I just don't.
Ultimate backups.
Tyus Jones is really good. Yeah, they're ultimate backup point guards, especially on a playoff team, can run actions, plural, can get you going offensively, can defend the point of attack. They fit their role really good, man. Deuce McBride is someone else who I think fits into that category with those guys. He will one day at least. He's more in Trey's category than Tyus is right now, for sure. We know that. Zach, I want to ask you, this Celtics team, expectations going into this year. You know, every Eastern Conference team is getting asked about them at media day. You know, the Knicks were asked about what they think about the moves from Milwaukee and Boston. Talk about this year for Boston, man. This is another year coming up for Jason Tatum, another hunt at a title. It feels like he's always had really good casts, back from when he was part of the supporting cast to now having his own supporting cast. What do you make of this team? What do you make of the expectations for them this year? How much pressure is on them this season?
Yeah, so the pressure should be extremely high. I mean, it's now or never. I mean, I won't say never for Jason Tatum, but like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown together. Maybe now or never for Al Horford and Drew Holiday to find a long-term home. There's a lot of pressure on Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis here. So there's a lot of variables that have a lot of pressure. I wouldn't say the team as a whole necessarily has a lot of pressure, because I think they're a 60-win team. I think they're that good. But does that matter? Does 60 wins matter? Like, to me, if they're the third seed and get 52 to 53 wins, or the 1 seed and get 60, the only way this team's going to blow me out of the water in the regular season, if they get like 68 or something, you know, if they get something which I could see, it wouldn't shock me. But like, am I predicting that? No, I predict probably 59. They had 57 wins last year. I think their depth is good enough to get through. I think Porzingis is due or bound to have another healthy year. I mean, I just think there's less pressure on him, you know, and I think last year he had a ton of pressure on him. I don't think there's a ton of pressure on him with surrounded by this studly cast, and he's going to operationally, when it's a one-on-one, yes, and from the outside landscape, people, the noise, yes, that's pressure, but when he's playing the game of basketball, there's less pressure on him to succeed and be who he really is. So I think his success can only go up from there. A lot of people in the East are scared. You know, they look at this lineup. When they made that trade, Zach Lowe put out a report that said GMs and front offices are like, fuck us, you know, that was a legit quote from an article Zach Lowe put out. Like, yes, these people are scared, but like, if you don't have it, the Celtics or the Bucks 1 and 2 in any order, I'm okay with it. I like the Celtics depth a tad better, but I'm a little biased, but I can be either way. For me, it's the Chris Middleton card. He's the one guy that I don't know if he's going to be 100%. Like everybody in the Celtics last year was 100%, and they showed it. I mean, Al Horford's obviously not at his peak. Don't get me wrong there, but like I truly think the best case outcome is better for the Celtics than these guys. Are Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum chokers? Jury's out. Jury is very out. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Like
not defined in any direction.
they're young. They're young enough, but they should be talked about in the same light as any choker ever is, of the stars of the stars. But like they're not because they're loved guys. They're young enough. But like they've had teams, they've had a lot of success, and they've had opportunities, and they've let them go. They've lost to teams. They've lost to teams they should have beat, like the Miami Heat last year. They should have absolutely beat. There's no way that they shouldn't have beat the Heat last year. They were definitely favored. But yeah, so the expectations for me is just taking the Milwaukee Bucks. If they lose to them in 6 or 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm completely fine. But I need to see them at their best. That's my expectation. Outside of that, I'm going to throw in 59 wins. Jason Tatum. Yeah. Jason Tatum will be top 3 in MVP. He will have a great chance at winning it. I'll be shocked if he doesn't walk away with some MVP award, but Joe Mazzulla is
I
an
like
amazing
Tatum
coach.
as a
I think
sneak.
he's
Not sneak, but I like
going.
Tatum as an MVP candidate this year.
Yeah, I think
I don't like Mazzulla as a playoff coach.
Oh yeah, 1 year you can't judge somebody after 1 year as a playoff coach. But yeah, he's bad.
I can't say that's what I'm saying. He's not on my like list. So that doesn't mean he's bad. That doesn't mean he's not unproven. That doesn't mean he's cooked forever. That just means he's not right now on my short list of like, I want this guy coaching my team in game 7. He's doing a lot of talking about like, yeah, these guys are kind of just gonna go out there and hoop and figure it out. It's like, yeah, okay, man. Geez, we'll see how that ages. For me personally, I like this team. I like their chances. You talk about the win total for you, 59, ambitious. For Vegas, 55.5 on DraftKings, 54.5 everywhere else. If it's 55.5, I want to lean the under only because I think this Celtics team is ready for really wanting to take the playoffs super seriously. And I know the load management stuff, the new rules and all that. I just think that man, do I not love the chances of Horford and Porzingis playing a combined 150 games. I don't, so
that's fair. No, I'm fine with that.
The under for me, just by a hair. I just think unders are always, the juicier bet because people love betting overs and that skews the line. Fans of teams love going and betting their over, that skews the line. It's more fun to root for overs than unders. So I'm the under guy. I'm fine being known as that. But I would take the Celtics under by a hair. I would say 53 wins for this squad. So just under 55, but I expect them to be the 2nd or 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference, be up there and make a little statement this year in terms of, hey, we're still around. We made some shakeups, but we're still at the top. I think everyone's expecting them to be. I do think there's something to actually showing it. You've seen in the NFL already, we're in week 4 and teams that were ready for playoff pushes are talking about Caleb Williams. So sports are like that, man. I just think the Celtics won't be one of those teams that dies out. Zach, you have a storyline you love to follow for teams. And I think I've already hinted a little bit at maybe what my pick is going to be here. Who is your most improved player for the Boston Celtics this season?
This is the toughest team for me to pick. I'll be shocked if I can't find a tougher team than this one, to be honest, because I don't see too many areas Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum getting that much better outside of playmaking. And I'm not predicting a playmaking jump from Jaylen Brown. I'm just not doing it yet, especially with who they brought in. I think Drew Holiday is going to take a lot of those opportunities away, and it's going to be just more ball movement. I think the ball movement is going to get much better. So, gun to my head, who am I going to take? I might go the cop out route and have Jordan Walsh say exceed expectations. I think I always
hate that
play
answer.
that card. I know
I
it's a
hate
terrible
that
answer,
answer.
but like his growth versus like what people project might be the sneaky one. Outside of that, like I thought about Drew Holiday, like can his 3-point percentage go up from 38? But like that was like a career high last year. I don't see it getting much higher than that. I really don't. I just don't think he's that consistent of a guy. I'm gonna go Derek White. Screw it, Derek White. Maybe his
Okay,
playmaking goes up. That's
that's
my
a
answer. I'm
that's
sticking
a
to
pick.
it. Sam Hauser would be my other second option. That's fair. Like Sam Hauser needs to fill in for a big stretch of time with Al Horford and KP going down. So his minutes go up to like 25, 30 in like a certain 20 game stretch. And he just crushes it. His numbers, basic numbers, maybe he doesn't get much better as a player, but he just pops off.
For me, man, I like your
I could.
pick. I like the way you went about it. I hate the Jordan Walsh pick. I like that you gave a real pick, and I like what you said about Walsh. So I'm okay with all of it now. I'm okay with all of it now. How many minutes do we think Peyton Pritchard plays next season per game? Because
Didn't even bring him up in my. I mean, that's who
because
I would have
that's
guessed you were hitting
that's
at.
that's my pick. If we genuinely think he's gonna play basketball for them.
He only played 13 last year. If that dude gets 20 minutes, yeah, you're right. He gets up to 10 points probably and 3 assists.
And I think he's good. So I'm not
He's very
super
good.
in on him. I wouldn't trade for him if I were a team that already has someone else similar. I don't think he's so worth going and getting an edge on development, whatever. But I actually do like him. I do think he's good. He's my pick for most improved. Zak, 59 wins. Me, what did I say, 53? I like that.
We got to do a show where I just throw out some boisterous shit. Like what came to my mind when talking about Peyton Pritchard is like he's a guy, one of the guys that with least opportunity that I think deserves a lot. Like I think he could be as good as Tyus Jones type of thing. Like DeLon Wright. Like call me crazy. I'm the biggest Mike Conley basketball player hater right now. I think one of those guys might be better. Like I love Mike Conley, the dude. He's a genuine human, Mr. Sportsmanship Award. But like, give me Peyton Pritchard starting over. Like
Peyton
I'm getting
Pritchard.
crazy out here.
Pritchard was plus 2,500 to win most improved player in 2021.
Oh wow, he's
That
on the.
is pretty funny. Does he even have odds this season? I can't find them. So maybe books don't have them. Yeah, man, I would go with Pritchard. I would not bet him to be the league's most improved, but I would bet him to be the Celtics most improved if I could. Other
Love
than
it.
that,
Good
man,
pick.
let's wrap up here by thanking our listeners, our viewers on YouTube for supporting the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a thumbs up, subscribe to All Things NBA from A to Z's channel. Leave us a comment telling us what you thought about the episode. If you're listening over on Apple or Spotify or Castbox or Google Podcasts, thank you. Subscribe, 5-star rating, do everything you can to support us because we want to keep putting the show out for y'all. We want to keep growing. We want to keep building. We really appreciate y'all sticking with us for this
Like us up. Like
start.
us up.
So hit it up. Thank y'all. Have a good one.